let's discuss smart bins. Smart bins are bins that are populated automatically based on metadata. Simply, metadata are extra information attached to a file that helps us to filter through our files to find clips easier. For example, if I select this file, this is the file's name, and I can see that the scene is for a girl trying to grab a book. So, if I select the file and click the metadata button, this is my metadata window. It only shows me the properties of the currently selected file. So if I select this file now and I have this orange color around it, the metadata window is currently showing me the metadata for this particular selected file. The metadata window simply allows us to attach extra information to the file. So currently I'm in a section that's called clip details. It shows me basic details about my clip, like start time code, end time code, and how many frames this file has. So by clicking this icon here, I can switch between multiple sections for metadata. For example, if I select the camera section, now I have this section here where I can add metadata to the currently selected file that are related to the camera that was used. For example, this file was shot through the A7S camera, so I'll just type A7S. I can add the camera serial number, the camera notes, the camera format, and even the ISO and shutter and frames per second that were used for this particular shot. And now if I select another clip, I can, for example, add another camera. For example, I'm just going to say that this was shot using a Canon 5D, for example, which wasn't the case, but just to illustrate a point. So when I click this here, it was shot with the A7S, and this one for camera, it has 5D. And I can also fill that this one was shot with an ISO of 3000, for example. And if I select this one, I can fill that it was shot with an ISO of 500, for example. So this is the camera section. If we go back to this button, we can select any of the other multiple sections. One of the most important sections is shot and scene. This is where you can add description to your shot. So for example, I can type here the word girl. So this is description. However, I can also enter keywords. Keywords are different than description in the sense that they prevent misspellings. So for example, if I come to this shot here, I have a girl and a book. So in keywords, I'll type the word girl. And now when I hit enter, now I have a keyword for girl. Then I'll type the word book and hit enter. So now I have girl and book. Now when I select this shot, just by selecting keywords and pressing the letter G and then I, it will show me girl. So it will look for all the keywords in my project. So I'll select girl here and then I'll type the letter B and select book. So now I have girl and book. And I can select a certain clip color. So for example, this clip will have this particular color. So now in edit, if I drag this clip to my timeline, let's go to edit and drag this clip. Now this clip has the color that we selected. Let's delete and switch back to media. And you can also select multiple files to add keywords to all the files at the same time. So for example, these two files have girl and coffee in them. So I'll select this file, hit command, select the other file, and now I have two files selected. Then I'll simply go to keywords and add the keyword girl and then add a new keyword which is coffee. Great, so now I have girl and coffee. However, note that when you select multiple files, in order to apply your changes to all the files, after adding the changes, you have to hit save. And now if we select this clip alone, it has girl and coffee, and this one also has girl and coffee. So now I'll go through all the files, adding the appropriate metadata to all the files, and then we will take a look at smart bins. So now I went through all the files and added metadata. For example, if I select this file, I have the keywords girl and coffee. And if I switch to camera, I have A7S here. So if I select this one, for example, it has the camera type of GH5. And if I go back to shot and scene, it has hand and coffee. So now we simply added metadata, which is extra information. The question is, how do we use this information? The answer is through smart bins. Smart bins are simply pre-saved searches. For example, I'll hover over smart bins, right click and select add smart bin. And let's call this bin coffee. I'll click here and simply type coffee. And let's ask this smart bin to find all the files that has the word coffee. For example, this is my first search term. The first drop-down menu tells Resolve where to look. So, in this case, we want to look inside shot and scene. And in the shot and scene section, we want to search inside keywords. And the keyword should contain the word coffee. And I'm simply going to hit create smart bin. And now I have this smart bin here, and this smart bin simply found all the shots that contains the keyword coffee. For example, let's come back to master here, and even though this shot here doesn't contain coffee, it's C0009, I'll click it. And for example, let's say that we added the keyword coffee, and now I'll hit save. Once I get back to the coffee smart bin, we have this shot added here, just because we simply added the keyword coffee to it. Of course, there's no coffee here, so let's just remove this keyword and hit save, and the file was automatically removed from coffee. So coffee here is simply a search term, and Resolve creates a folder that contains clips with the particular search criteria you added to this particular file. For example, if we select this clip here, it contains the word coffee and the word girl. I'll right click and I'm going to add a new smart bin, and let's call it girl. So I'll simply type the word girl. And again, we want to select shot and scene, and we want to search inside keywords, and it should contain the word girl. And I'm going to create a new smart bin. Notice something very important. This clip with the number C0018 is actually inside two bins at the same time. So it's in the girl bin because it contains the keyword girl, and C0018 is at the same time inside the coffee bin because it contains coffee. Notice that now we have the same file in two bins at the same time without needing to create multiple copies of the same file, and this is extremely powerful because this allows us to find our files very fast, which will make the editing experience much faster. So let's take a look at the other options we have when we create a new smart bin. I'll right click and simply add a smart bin, and let's just call this one test for now. So note that I have a search term here. So for example, what we did before was simply going to shot and scene, and we simply went to keywords and we typed a keyword like girl. Great. Now I can choose one of two things. First of all, I can tell Resolve to find all the clips that contains the word girl, or I can click here and I can switch from contains to is. So it will only show me the clips that only has one keyword, which is girl. So even though I have clips that contains the word girl, they still contain other keywords and not only girl. So they're not going to be added to this bin. And we have all other sorts of options. So we can select contain, so it shows the clips that contain a certain keyword, or does not contain. So these are all the clips that do not contain the word girl, for example. And we have many other options. So this was the first criteria we added here. We can add more criteria. So for example, by clicking this plus button, now I have a new line where I can refine my search even further. So let's go back here to contain girl, and I want to select the clips that contains the word girl, and at the same time were filmed using a certain camera. So I'll select camera here, and camera type should contain 5D. So now if I move this to the side here, these are all the clips that first contain the word girl and were shot with the 5D camera. Or for example, I can switch from 5D to A7S, and now these are all the clips that contains the word girl and were shot with the A7S camera. So we can add multiple criteria here to refine our search. And finally, we can use this drop-down menu to tell Resolve whether our search term should match all criteria or any of our criteria. So if we select any, now Resolve will add to this particular bin all the clips that either have the word girl or have A7S as a camera. And if we switch to all, now it will only show us the clips that match all the criteria, not any of this criteria. So it will only show us the clips that are at the same time have the word girl and were shot with the A7S camera. So let's cancel now. I'm not going to create this new smart bin. So currently we have a smart bin for coffee and a smart bin for girl. And these are simply smart bins. When you're editing larger projects, adding the right metadata to your films and creating the right smart bins can save you long hours of searching through your files.